So I'll wrap up the morning, but let me start by acknowledging 5 excellent briefers, and why don't we give them a collective round of applause. And of course, this is not just the work of the briefers that are up here at the podium today. This is the hard work of all of the groups, all of the members, particularly the managers and deputy managers for organizing all of this. So how about a round of applause for the managers and deputies? So I'd like to take a few minutes to step back and look at the big perspective. One of those perspectives is thinking about how this fits into the workshop curriculum. We call these the final briefings, but really this is the midway point for these bills and these groups. We've spent the summer focusing on the science, and then as we transition into the fall, we will focus on the implementation. So that will be much more of a political analysis, a management analysis, an implementation analysis, where we'll be making staffing plans and budgets and performance management systems operating as if these bills were passed and about to become law. So we move from the sort of the theoretical grounding to the more practical implementation. And so it's important to know that we're only halfway through this process. We'll have another set of briefings in the fall, and we'll hear about the other side of the issue, the implementation. The other piece of perspective is to put this in perspective of the year-long curriculum. You are nearing the end of the summer term, which has been very science-intensive. I don't need to tell you that. But the curriculum also pivots at this point to be much more about the management and the public policy, and we get into the ethics and the statistics and the economics, and we move away from the sort of chemistry and biology and ecotoxicology of the summer. And so we are. It's worth noting that. You have just completed a very, very rare event for students studying for a Master of Public Administration degree. This is the most science-intensive MPA degree in the country. We know that it is important to good environmental policy to have a grounding in environmental science. That is essentially the organizing principle of this program, and it continues to be surprising that other schools are not doing this. To solve public policy programs, you need certain kinds of expertise. You wouldn't expect to solve problems related to poverty or education without a solid grounding in the social sciences. So how can you expect to solve problems related to lead poisoning or extreme weather or brownfield remediation without a solid grounding in chemistry and in ecotoxicology and in ecology? So you have got that. You have a foundation of knowledge. Some of you came in with more, some of you came in with less. You are now at a point where you can advise decision makers. The goal here is to train the policy analysts, the people that provide the linkage between the scientific community and the management community. And this summer, both the science and the science focus of the workshop are built around that concept to give good scientific information to decision makers as they get into the implementation. The next 2 semesters are much more conventional as an MPA degree, but what has just happened this summer is what sets this apart, the sort of unique competencies and unique skills that come as a result of this program. So we look forward to that pivot. It's also worth reflecting a bit on the process of how we manage the workshop. You all arrived here the day after Memorial Day, and we asked you your preferences, but we put you into groups. You didn't know each other. The faculty didn't know you. We use this model of small groups with individual managers and deputy managers and a very clearly prescribed set of goals. We gave you a workbook, a handbook, and we told you here are the outputs. We want you to think about the science of the problem, the science of the solutions, the controversies, the scientific aspects of measuring success. We more or less set a structure for you. We forced you into a structure of giving 10-minute briefings. Of producing a briefing and a memo every week, sometimes 2 in a week, and all of this is a way of training you for the kinds of work workplace skills that you will need once you graduate from this place. You will be working in groups. That is the nature of modern work. You will be trying to tackle difficult problems, and you will sometimes be working with difficult people in trying to tackle those difficult problems. The work needs to get done. There were no incompletes in this class. Everyone gave a briefing when they had to give a briefing. If someone was pulled away or you had to make changes on the fly, the group responded to that. Largely worked out internally, the dynamics of the students and the managers. This is a lot of peer learning and peer leadership, and that is a central piece of what we do with this workshop model. You had to work within that structure. You also had to synthesize enormous amounts of information. We just saw about 50 minutes of presentation that represented literally thousands of hours of research, of discussion, of collaboration, of deciding what goes into my 10 minutes, what do we leave behind, how do I put this complex story together in a way that can make sense to people who haven't heard it before, and in a way that will make sense to people that need to make decisions based on this information. And this idea of distilling information, and particularly distilling complex scientific information and distilling uncertainty and trying to present it in actionable form, is exactly what we're aiming to do. And so besides having learned a lot about these 5 environmental problems and their solutions, we've, I think, learned a lot about effective communication in science. And so I commend you all for that. I know you're not quite done yet. We still have a week left of the summer term. Obviously, the final reports are still coming in. But you've worked very hard this summer. I think I can speak on behalf of all the faculty in saying we're proud of you. We're proud of what you've produced, and we look forward to seeing the next phase. So congratulations, and have some coffee on the way out.